daily game plan for success. It's Sachs in the Morning. Steve Sachs.
Hi, Steve Sachs here with Sachs in the Morning. And today is Wednesday, May the 10th. And I'm thinking positive today. I'm thinking positive because we're going to talk about the opposite of that just for a little bit. And then we're going to turn it around. And we're going to talk about why people are thinking negative thoughts. All right. We all do it. All of us do it. So let's find a way to not do it. That's the best thing I can say. So it's kind of common. And all of us have moments of thinking the worst and jumping to conclusions, even when logic might tell us that there's no evidence that something terrible has happened to our child or that we have failed an exam or had bad luck. But we can't help default to sometimes to the negative conclusion. It's natural for our minds to search for negatives and likely dates back to the days when we had to be on high alert for wild animals and anticipate danger or threats. Our survival depended on it. Today, we don't have to worry about our survival from the wilds, but we often find ourselves stressed and overly anxious about life. And if you've struggled with depression or stress or anxiety, you understand how difficult it is to flip those negative thoughts into more positive ones. So now let's talk about a couple of things on how we can kind of turn this thing around. And you know what? I get emotional about this issue because I had to go through it myself. When I went through the throwing issue that I don't even hardly remember before because that's a negative thought, but that was a long time ago. And I was a Major League All-Star player that for a while lost my confidence and couldn't throw the ball to first base. The easiest thing to do in baseball, blah, 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 blah. You all know the story. Okay, so here's what I did. First of all, I had to identify what was going on. I had to admit I had an issue. Some guys tried to sweep it under the rug. It'll go away. No, it was bigger than me at the time. And I had to identify what the issue was. Okay? Second thing I had to do is challenge myself in the way I approached it and the way I thought about it. This challenging myself worked in a great way because I was so pig-headed, maybe a little narcissistic, if you will, that I was thinking to myself, if you think that this thing's going to beat me, you're crazy. And I made it like a fist fight. I made it like a fight. And I was challenging this thing to a fight in that if I had to sleep at the ballpark and if I had to work 20 hours a day, sleep 3 hours, and maybe have 1 hour worth of meals, that's what I would have done. I would have come just a smidge shy of selling myself to the devil to beat this issue. It was more important than anything to me. It was more important than my family. It was more important than anything because I was going to beat this thing. So I challenged my thinking and I challenged what I was going to do. I was absolutely committed 100%. I stepped over the line. I dove in. It wasn't just putting my feet in the water. No, it was a headfirst dive. And that was it. Sink or swim. Okay? The third thing I did was I had compassionate self-talk to myself. What the hell is that? Well, every time I'd make a good throw to first base, I would say, hey, man, that was good. And remember, this is all in practice. That's good. Nothing wrong with that. If I was a mechanic and I was working on an exhaust system that was really hard to put in a 1932 Ford pickup and nobody figured it out, well, I would go in there if I had to, and I'm using this as a metaphor, and I'd figure it out, and I would say, God, that's the greatest exhaust system I've ever seen. It looks perfect. It works great. Is that all there is? Give me the next one. And that confidence started to grow. And that compassionate self-talk is huge. Now, listen, I know there's a lot of people out there that are thinking negative, right? All right. So this could help you. Some people don't talk about it, but you got to get rid of these negative thoughts. It's amazing. And lastly, go out and seek some support. Nothing wrong with that. Talk to some of your closest friends. Therapy's great. I did it for 12 years. Loved it. I think it's the greatest thing ever. Seek support. Be proud of it and do that. When I was doing coaching, there was this thing we called the saboteur, where this negative thought would come and sit on your shoulder. And there's ways to get rid of that negative thought. You can metaphorically throw it in a tissue and flush it. You can put it in the closet in a box and close it and lock up your closet. And you could say to yourself, hey, if something happens today that doesn't quite go my way, it's not going to be because I had a negative thought. That ain't going to be the reason. You just said today is not the day of the negative thought. And you just build on that. Okay? And pretty soon, those negative thoughts are going to turn positive, and you're going to see an amazing, immense difference in the way you look at things and the way your life is. And if you could just say to yourself, hey, man, if it don't work out today, okay, I'll give it my best shot, but it ain't because I thought negative. That's not going to happen today. What did Henry Ford say? Henry Ford, if you think you can or you can't, you're right. And that is my short for today. If you like what you heard, give us a positive review, subscribe, and share. Also, remember that the Sax in the Morning swag is now available on my Instagram site. Go to saxinthemorning_podcast. You'll see it right there on the Instagram, and just hit the link. Everything's there, mugs, hats, tumblers, you name it. Take advantage of it.